All right, welcome back to Daybreak. It's now 12 minutes to 8 o'clock, and it's time to take a look at what the Senate has been doing lately. And to speak to us this morning is Senator Mwaura, who is the nominated senator of the Jubilee Party. We'll be talking about the fate of nominated legislators. But before we do so, good morning, Senator. And how have you been keeping safe? I see what you're wearing this morning. Why so? And how have you been keeping with the COVID-19 season?
Thank you very much, Sam Gituku. I'm very happy to say hi to Kenyans, and thank you for the support that you've continued to give us, even as we legislate and work with the community. I've been very busy moving around in people's homes, trying to help with the little that we have in terms of food, in terms of sanitizers, in terms of for those with disabilities, assisted devices. And just talking to Kenyans and visiting, very, very, very many Kenyans who are living in very deplorable conditions, some actually. Mm-hmm. So I've actually been moving a lot, and I continue to do so and to have conversations in Kenya. We need to do a lot of work as leaders if we are to help the situation. Kenyans are suffering. People don't have food. I've been receiving a lot of numerous calls of people asking for support, and it's overwhelming. And especially for those with disabilities, most of them are saying that they don't even have, anything to show. And even for some of them that I visited, I remember I visited a mother who is mentally disabled and the daughter also. Mm-hmm. And they had put some sufuria, and they had nothing to cook, actually. It's just water that was boiling as they were actually splitting, some woods there. So, mm-hmm. and then another one who was, somewhere trying to sell, vegetables. Nobody was buying. Another one was a cobbler. I mean, I've just gone to places in slums, informal settlements, and people are living in abject poverty. In fact, urban poverty is real and marginalization. It's really, really sad.
Right, and I would presume that these efforts that we've been making, or the places that we've been visiting in Kiambu County, and nationally there's that program of distributing food donations that come to the government. Have you heard of any people being identified there as would-be beneficiaries of all these efforts that are being put in place?
Well, there have been efforts in terms of the chiefs taking the names of the people, but then nobody has received any support yet. We had a meeting last week with the PS Labor and Social Protection, Nelson Mwaura, to propose about how about 200,000 people with disabilities can actually receive this amount of money, at least 1,000 per week. But that has not come into fruition. And even those with severe disabilities, in terms of them receiving the 500 million the president said, some have received, some have not. Mm-hmm. And also the fact that teachers with disabilities, some of them, their salaries were actually, which are exempted, some they were actually deducted. So those things, and visiting people, really nobody, not just people with disabilities. I've been everywhere. I've been in the right market, in Kiandutu slums, in Kikuyu. I've moved a lot, and people have not received this money, so it's not yet done. And I really call upon that even the food that the government wants to give, a lot of people in Kiambu County and the whole country are actually in need. In fact, some of the people, some have also assisted are from Nairobi County. Especially those, so the demand is high and high. Even today, this morning, I'm having people, telling me that they have not eaten from Thika, from Roysambu, from everywhere. So it's a dire situation, and also people asking for jobs.
Right.
Kenyans are really in dire need, yes.
Speaking of jobs, there are some that have been losing their jobs at the Senate, and I want us now to switch on to what has been happening. Yes. And still amazed by your attire, because it would appear that you're one of the few people that would be dressed the way you are this morning. What do you think is the state of the Jubilee Party as we speak?
Yeah, well, my attire is basically to explain that I am a Jubilee member, and I am a Jubilee nominated member. The way that is a nomenclature, I am known that way. And so really, it's quite a poignant point in our Jubilee Party, because if you look at the way Jubilee was formed, Jubilee looked like it's a party that would last long. It's a party that is a conglomeration of 14 other smaller parties. And when you look at the parliamentary strength, you have over 206 members of the National Assembly. You have 38 senators. You have another 25 women reps. You have 25 governors. I mean, really, and 500 plus elected, MCAs. And this is a party to watch, because the one who comes close is Orange Democratic Movement with 62 members. And then Wiper with 19. So you can imagine, and and in the Senate, the numbers have said 24, and then you have 11 from the ODM. So it's really telling that now the party is in shambles. The party that promised to actually take the country forward in terms of having two-party system. In fact, we were saying that even NASA should form one single party. Is now crumbling. It's now divided right down the middle. Yeah.
And obviously that's the situation. But when you look at now, we know that 5 senators are almost facing, I don't know what to call it because I don't know what will happen to them, but they have to face the disciplinary committee sometimes this week to explain why they skipped that meeting that was called by the party leader. How much of leeway do you have as a nominated legislator to do as you wish and to have the freedom of association?
It's very tough for one to be nominated, and it's good that we speak about this, because if you look at the history of these nomination slots, to begin with, the 12 nomination slots, the traditional ones, were actually put there by settlers, the white settlers, to ensure that they were always majority in the Legislative Council. And as the representation of African people continued, they were retained there for special interests, and special interests would mean anything. And so we saw, the first governments trying to use those seats to reward loyalty, and also later on to bring on board women, because women were not represented in parliament. People like Dr. Edda Gachukia, Rose Waruhiu, all of those, they came to parliament. And then later on, you see in the IPPG agreement of 1997, parties agreeing to share the 12 slots equally, because you see the 12 slots were being used by KANU to show up their numbers. And very commendable individuals have passed through, have come to parliament through nomination, including President Uhuru Kenyatta, people like Millie Odhiambo, Rachel Shebesh, and you can name them on and on. Now, when it comes now to a nominated member, there are always challenges, even before you come to issues of expulsion, because within parliament, we are seen as a threat, despite our stellar performance, by those who are incumbents, those where we come from. And so they try to underprivilege us. In fact, most Kenyans don't know that we receive less privilege in terms of facilitation, in terms of the number of staff, in terms of all of those. And we are not able to serve our constituents very well. Like for me, my constituency is not Kiambu County. My constituency is the whole of Kenya. I am a senator for people with disabilities.
Right.
But I am not facilitated to reach a person with disability in Turkana, another one in Mombasa, and all of that. So that then, because then they think, if then we are able to be nominated and we stand out the way we do, if we are capacitated, we will remove them. And in fact, there have been evidence that some of the nominated senators have gone ahead to replace, the people they were within parliament. But that's not the case, because if you also see on the ground, the Kenyan expects, as long as you are called Mheshimiwa, you have the same capacity to perform. We don't have a CDF kitty. We don't have the National Government Affirmative Action Fund.
Right.
And now coming to a political party. Sam, when you sign up to be a nominated member, you have very limited options because you are actually a property of the party. These seats are given to represent special interest groups as per Article 100, Article 90, 97, 98, and Article 177 of the county assemblies. But basically, it's based on the number of seats a party has garnered in first past the post in the elections. And so then your allegiance and loyalty is really purely to the party. That is the truth. And when you don't have when you don't have strong political parties, Sam, it is actually your loyalty to the party leader. So you don't have a lot of recourse, and that's why you are seeing those that never showed up for the Jubilee Parliamentary Group meeting are starting to write letters saying that they actually are loyal to the party leader. And you have seen, and you'll see more of that, because that is exactly the position. You are vulnerable. You can't quite make a radical decision when it comes to party matters and political positions.
But Senator, when you look at this, there's some feedback coming from your side, but when you look at this, so yes, you're loyal to the party, and now you're saying the party leader, but what happens to the divergent views that may be in a political party that would say that it's a democratic party?
I wish political parties are democratic as they sound, but they are not. I mean, political parties are not democratic. They have their inherent problems, and that is why even for me, I'm coming up with a party primaries bill to make sure that even during party nominations, there is some level of sanity in terms of how those exercises are conducted, because that is also how you lose very good leaders. And a very good experience, for example, when I tried to run for ODM elections as a Deputy Secretary General way back in 2014, many Kenyans will remember the Men in Black scenario. Because I wanted to run for office, but some people thought I was not supposed to be in office, and I had to be stopped, I had to be rigged out. Fast forward, coming to when I decided to actually move from ODM to Jubilee, I went and informed the party leader, Raila Odinga, that I was moving. But then, and I thought it was very mature politics. But then later on, I was actually expelled from the party. I was taken to court. I was deprived of all the parliamentary committees. Thank God it was next to elections, but then it was a very difficult ordeal that I went through. And then moving now to the Jubilee Party and the shambolic, nominations in Ruiru, and even I was injured. They missed my brain by two inches. Actually, they tore my ear. You're laughing. It's terrible. It was really serious. So I mean, can you say that those parties are actually democratic? They are not. And we still don't have mature political parties that are well institutionalized beyond ethnic alliances. What you see is, ethnic alliances clothed in a political party. For example, you are getting surprised that I'm wearing this Jubilee regalia because it looks odd, but it should be the normal day occurrence of Jubilee Party supporters. But now it looks grotesque. It looks odd because it's not supposed to be. You only wear this when you are doing campaigns. It's like political parties are just equal to the party paraphernalia that is around the election time.
Senator, I would not laugh at you on what was supposed to or was about to happen to you. I laugh at how you say it. But when you look at the situation that we have currently of these senators that is just about to face the disciplinary committee, some of them have explained that they could not manage to travel. How is that process of disciplining them, and what do you think is the best way forward out of all these standoffs that we have between the party and these senators?
First and foremost, I think there is a question that Kenyans are asking. What happens if then there is a conflict between yourself and the people you represent in the special interest groups? Like for me, having been the first person with albinism to be in parliament, both in the National Assembly and the Senate, on the people with disabilities, women, all of that, and the party position. I want to say rarely does that come into conflict, because parties want to also be seen, that they care for such, groups of Kenyans, you see. And so therefore, you will rarely have a conflict when you are raising concerns about their plight and welfare, because they actually kind of, you can say, hired you because of your expertise in that area. Like, you are not just found there seated. There's something that you're doing about it. Okay. So there is a rare conflict. The only conflict comes when it comes to political positions and inclinations. That one will always be there. And especially when you are very independent-minded, you may find yourself in hot soup. But then, as a nominated member, it's very easy for you to be removed, because you just need to be written to, you show cause letter. When the party expels you, then the process starts of actually removing you from parliament. You have recourse to go to court, but it costs you money, it's draining. You'll be removed from all the parliamentary committees. There will be no travel, there are no allowances. If you have a mortgage or loans that you will actually have to know how to meet the deficit. So it's actually very difficult. People are joking. The stress, you'll get a momentary public sympathy, because then people say, oh yeah, you are being victimized. But eventually you remain alone. In fact, I remember when I was chased out of ODM, I was partyless, kind of, because now I couldn't sit in the ODM side in the National Assembly, and when I sit in Jubilee, it was fairly cold. So you are left there. In fact, one of the members told me, now you used to have a lot of value when you're on the other side. Now your value has come down. Can you imagine that kind of thing? And let me tell you something. When people realize,
yes, quickly, because you're out of time,
lose power, you are likely to start having people not even receiving your calls and all of that. So it's really, really sad. And I want to make a passionate appeal to my Jubilee Party.
Right.
That some, people are fighting, and they are fighting, and there will be a next cleanup. I am making a passionate appeal that maybe there should be a ceasefire now between Tangatanga and Kieleweke, because both are likely to lose. If we start fighting, our competitors will come and take over.
Right, Senator.
So I'm asking if there can be a truce, the elders from Rift Valley and the others from Central, if they can join hands and try to know what happened. But after all is said and done, it depends on the party leader and the deputy party leader. If they can sit down, their children will listen to them. so
Okay.
that we find whether we can salvage the dream of Jubilee Party. But otherwise, for nominated members, you have no option. You can only remain loyal to the party.
All right. Thank you so much, Senator Isaac Mwaura, for speaking to us. And we hope that your party leaders, or your party leader and the deputy, are listening and will heed to that advice. Of course, thank you so much for watching the show since 6 o'clock until this moment. So much feedback coming from you. Zinzi Kibiku will be looking at a bit of that, including what Engineer Lazaro is saying, that the political transfer window is open and more crackdowns are coming from different parties. Thank you so much for your time. At 9 o'clock, Zinzi Kibiku will be back with the latest in the world of news. But for the time being, we see you tomorrow. Bye for now.